Hi, I'm Sherry. Welcome back to Dreams Are Seeds. Today, I'm very excited because we're finishing up this raised bed garden. And by finishing up, I mean we're gonna top off the beds that are still in need of some compost and possibly start tearing some things out to amend the beds and plant some tomatoes. Yes! Finally, some tomatoes. So, we have a pretty busy day ahead of us. But first, I want to bring you around to show you what's coming up and maybe harvest a couple tomatoes. Over here, we have some lovely Snow Princess calendulas, and this plant is getting big. It also has a strawberry blonde on the side. Back there we have some more calendulas. This is the Playtime Mix by Baker Creek. And here in this bed we also have some lovely calendulas. And this breathtaking nasturtium. Golly. Well, I'm going to try that again. Now my kale bed looks like it's struggling because the days have gotten pretty hot. I left this scarlet kale on the corner, which hasn't done so well, but since I've started to pull out some of the other kales to feed them to our bunny, it will have a better chance of growing more successfully. And I've had this variety grow through the hottest days of summer and didn't bolt. So I'm keeping that one right there. The dazzling blue kale has fared pretty well, but it looks like it's already started to bolt. And I'm not really surprised by that because the days have gotten pretty scorching. But what really surprises me is this 1,000 head kale, which still looks pretty healthy and pretty much unfazed by the heat. I highly recommend this variety. Back here we have our organic compost, which we're going to use to fill up those beds. Now, I just wanted to show you that I'm starting to see some flowers from this cauliflower. Isn't that funny? It's a very beautiful plant. But it started to bolt pretty quickly, so I think I may try starting it a little earlier later in the year. And right here on this bed we have a pretty cute tall sunflower. Now I thought I had planted a giant sunflower here, but I'm seeing a lot of buds, of flower buds, so I'm not sure what I planted here anymore. It's gonna be a surprise. And the rest of this bed I'm probably tearing out. I'm gonna try to keep some calendulas and a couple of small curcubites that are growing under this trellis, but it's been attacked relentlessly by pests. Some little critters come and dig up my beds. This may have even been one of my dogs, to be honest, but well, I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that it's really messy and I'm gonna amend it and add more compost to it. So I don't really want to take my chances, but I do love a volunteer plant, so at least one of these deserves a shot at filling up this trellis. It's getting harder to film this tomato because it's gotten so tall, but I'm gonna do my best to try and show you the harvest. Almost dropped them. Oh, these are just gorgeous. And let's see if these are ready. No, those are still a little firm. They can stand there for a couple more days. Here we have some, oops. Oh, sorry for such a messy shot. Hello, wind. It's it's been very windy these days. I even had some of my container trellises fall over. Now, I usually wait for the end of my videos to eat my homegrown tomatoes, but I'm gonna need my strength for this one, so if you'll excuse me. Oh my god, that's so good. That just burst. Juicy, sweet, smoky. This is a Japanese black trifle, and it's been a very sturdy growing plant. It has provided relief for my tomato season missing sickness. It's been a great team player, and I highly recommend this variety. Now let's not forget our white cherry tomatoes. My dog's down here, let me show you. Lilo. So good. Let's get ready for the hard stuff. Now let's get ready to put some elbow grease into this garden. My dog is trying to hunt a little lizard, and he's been sitting there for the past 20 minutes waiting for it to come out from under that flower pot. You're so cute, Bo. Bo, what you doing, Bo? Now, let's fill this bad boys with some compost. Something's wrong with me today. That was a little workout. But I realized I almost forgot to show you something. Here I have a new little garden bed, and I already put some dwarf tomatoes and also some sweet peppers in it. My plant starts were a little stunted because I had to move them early into the direct sun, but they were making a great recovery. And here, my potatoes are starting to come up. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? This variety, I'm not sure the name of it, but they were gifted to me by a friend a couple of seasons ago. And actually, the seed potatoes for these plants were grown right here in the kale bed. That's what used to be there before. I actually have a video planting and harvesting those. I'm going to leave them in the description down below. So, the beds look great, and I already have some little starts here that are ready to be transplanted into their final home. So, before we end this video, I wanted to sit down and tell you a little story about what happened to me last week. So, since spring has begun, I started to realize that I needed to buy some organic compost bags. I was running very low. So, I put my order in with the compost and some peat moss and some cocoa soil, which is like ground coconut fiber. From what I understood, they were not going to be selling those compost bags anymore. And I started panicking because compost is the backbone of a garden. And it doesn't matter if you're growing in raised beds or if you're growing in containers. Organic compost is something that cannot be substituted in a garden if you're growing organic. So I started to freak out, and we found a friend who is selling bags of compost, and I was really excited about that. So he brought a couple of bags over. We bought a couple of bags, and I opened them to finish those garden beds that you just saw me fill with compost. And to my horror, it was full of garbage. There was so much garbage. It was like it was like a nightmare. I even cried a little because I'm always really strict with the filters for what goes into my garden, and I just felt really silly. It was just very disappointing. So I panicked again and I started to do some research, and I was trying to find anything. I was trying to find anything that would help me continue the garden and garden even more, because I obviously germinated way more plants than I have the space for. So I was looking for a way to quickly make more space without maybe the hassle of filling my garden beds with manure and compost, because it can get costly. I mean, you have to buy the wood, you have to buy whatever you're gonna use to hold the wood together. You have to buy some fertilizer or some manure and the compost and some mulch, and it just adds up. So I found this really great option, which is straw bale or hay bale gardening. It is known as hay bale gardening, but straw is actually the best option if you're gonna use them as a growing medium. And what you do is you spend 2 weeks conditioning the bales. Now, I just started learning about this method, and I already have a couple of bales that are ready to condition. And what I'm gonna use to condition the bales is initially some blood meal to get the composting process started, and organic pelletized fertilizer towards the end of the conditioning to provide rich substrate for the plants that I'm gonna plant there. And when you're done, you basically just scoop some hay out. Well, you scoop some straw out and you plant with a little bit of potting mix, and that's pretty much it. Like, I'm not really sure what is going to happen because I actually have some hay bales and not straw bales. I'm gonna be getting my hands on some straw bales next, but I'm still going to do this little experiment with the hay because hay, it's just hay. That was terrible. Sorry. If you're interested in learning about that with me, I'm gonna have this little experiment of hay versus straw for bale gardening, and it's amazing because you can use it. You can put your bales on a patio if you don't have any grass or any direct soil to put them, and they work just fine. I've seen some great results, and I'm really, really excited to try this method. I'm a little scared because it's something that I've never tried before, but I really love to learn new things, and that's a big part of why the garden has captivated me so deeply. It's always teaching me. You're such a good teacher. So, we're embarking on this straw bale garden adventure, and hopefully we'll have some garden beds that don't need such a huge effort to grow as much as I possibly can. So that was it for today. It was lovely hanging out with you, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. I'll see you on the next one. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. If you're against kissing dogs, I wouldn't be here if I were you. So my hands are a little dirty, but I really need this. Mommy, I dropped some tomato gel on you. Sorry. Dirty hands, happy gardener.